What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to talk to you about becoming a better photographer with this. Hey, what's up, my running warriors? Welcome to another channel. Why do I always say that? What's up, my running warriors? Welcome to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about being a better photographer with the common cell phone that you probably all have and are holding in your hands right now, maybe even watching this video. So, how do you become a better photographer just by using your cell phone? You know, my brother-in-law actually hit me up about this topic just recently, and he's had some basic questions on how to become a better photographer. He was taking pictures of his family, and they weren't coming out as great as he wanted them to. So he hit me up, asked me, hey, how do we do better photos with this thing? And it got me to thinking, you know, there's probably a lot of individuals out there who might have that exact same question. We all have cell phones, but that doesn't mean we're all photographers. That doesn't mean our passion is photography and filmmaking, right? Like it is for me and my brethren, my ilk, my other family. You know, we live and breathe this stuff, so it comes to us, you know, naturally because we've been doing it for so long. But for a normal person out there who just wants to take a decent photograph of their daughter, of their wife, then they probably don't know the basics. So what we're gonna do is cover some basics on how to do better photography with your phone. All right, so let's get into it. Tip number one, pretty straightforward tip. You might even laugh, and that is to clean the lens on your phone. You guys catching that okay? Yeah, clean the lens on your phone. Smudges, anything of that nature can really jack up your picture. And it might not seem like a huge deal, and we kind of don't pay attention to the lenses on our phones. But it's pretty simple. Just take a cloth, clean the lens, make sure it's smudge free. You're gonna have better photos. So tip number two, pay attention to your grip. Now there's different ways you can hold your phone. People have different techniques. They hold their phone sideways, they hold it in, you know, the horizontal landscape mode, or they hold it in portrait mode, vertical mode. It all kind of matters on how you hold your phone, depending on the picture that you're taking, right? So if you're trying to take a picture that is wider, obviously hold your phone sideways. If you want to capture more of that background, hold your phone in the landscape position because you're going to capture more of that background. Now, if you're trying to take a portrait, just trying to get the faces, something, you know, nice and pretty, go ahead and go into vertical mode. That's fine too. But always make sure that you're cognizant of how you hold your phone when you're taking your pictures. Oh, and watch out for the fingers in the lens, guys. It's a big pet peeve of mine. Watch out for your fingers in your lenses. Great. Let's move on. All right. Tip number three, move before you tap that red button to take the picture. Now, what I mean by that is move around to see where the greatest angle is. A lot of people will take their phones and they'll just point out straight. You know, it's your line of sight, your point of view. This is the picture you want to take. But move around a little bit. If you have time, you're not trying to capture that in the moment kind of shot, move around, get a different angle. Go lower, go higher, go sideways. You know, just move around your subject, move around what you're trying to take a picture of, because then that way you'll see as you're moving around that the picture changes dramatically. The framing changes, the composition changes, and as you move around, you'll find that perfect angle that'll get that beautiful picture that you're looking for. So before you tap, move around. Once you find the picture that you like, don't move after that. Stay still, stay as steady as you can. A shaky camera or a shaky phone will give you a shaky picture. A lot of this stuff has, you know, in-body stabilization, especially with our phones. They're great. They're amazing at stabilizing footage. But do your best to stay as still as possible. If you got a tripod, use a tripod. If you don't, just be steady, all right? Awesome. All right, let me look at my notes. Next step, do not zoom with your phone. If you see an image and you try to zoom in, you do that, you know, that backwards pinching technique to zoom in, it will probably come out not as nice as you had hoped. Now, zooming in your photos will a lot of times degrade the quality of the image. So zooming in, now there's some phones like this phone that has multiple cameras that can zoom in automatically. Now that's different. If you're choosing a telephoto lens on your camera that zooms in automatically, totally fine. But if you're physically zooming in, please try to stay away from that. As soon as you do that, degradation of that image goes way down. So if you gotta move, use the rule to zoom with your legs, right? So what that basically means is get up, walk your butt over there and zoom in by getting closer. Try to do that. If you zoom in with your fingers, it's gonna jack things up. So just don't do it, okay? All right, next step. Use the grid. So your phones, if you go to your settings and you go to camera, there's a setting in there that allows you to have a grid. And that what that grid does is it breaks the image into 9 basically squares or rectangles. And using that grid will help you frame your position properly. Now, a lot of photographers will teach that if you get your subject in any one of those crosshairs of that grid, in any one of those points, then that kind of helps satisfies the rule of thirds. And what that does is it makes it more pleasing to the eye. When we see things in those spots, and you don't realize it when you're looking at a picture or even in a video, but when those individuals or subjects are in those little 4 corners or 4 points of intersections, it looks a lot better. Just the framing of the picture looks great. It becomes a more dynamic photo. And even though you're not a professional, your eyes can tell what looks good. And if you have those individuals in those cross points, it's gonna look much better. So try to use the grid on your phone. It's built in into your phones. Well, it's built into my iPhone. I'm pretty sure that's pretty standard across the board. So try to get that grid up, use the grid. It's an awesome tool to get your pictures nice. All right, so next one, tap to focus. On most phones, when you're taking your pictures on your screen, tap on the face that you want to take a picture of. It's gonna focus on that area. But not only that, you can use that tap to focus to kind of get some really dynamic pictures. If you want to get some really good bokeh, what you can do is get close to a subject, tap on the positioning of something else in the background, and it'll focus on the background, and then the person in the front will be kind of blurred out. And vice versa, tap on the person here, closest to you, and then the background will be blurred out, and you'll have a nice bokeh in the background. So there's really kind of some cool things you can do by tapping to focus. Just play around with it. Just tap away, see what you can do. The more practice, obviously, the better you'll get with it. But there's some pretty neat things you can do with tap to focus, and it's a nice feature that's already built in. Another feature that you can do with your phones is take high dynamic range photos as well as normal photos, HDR photos and normal photos. Set them both to be turned on. That way you have options when you're editing your photos. And we'll talk about editing later on here in a second. But what you want to do is to be able to have a normal photo that you can just send out right away and say, this is a good photo, I'm going to send it. I don't have to worry about it. But when you have HDR photos, you can also get that into a post-production app of some sort and mess with it a little bit more. You have more free range on how to adjust like the contrast, to adjust colors. It just gives you a little bit more information in the photo and that you can play with, so you can kind of get that look that you're looking for, something a little bit more special than just a normal photo. So that's kind of a neat thing that you can do. Now, let's talk about apps really quick. I use a bunch of different apps on my phone to edit photos and even some videos sometimes. I'm kind of addicted to getting new apps for photo editing. I'm not gonna lie, I have a bit much. Let me show you real quick what I got going on here. It's kind of a hot mess. So if you see, like, I have 2 or 3 pages of just like photo apps, and I'm kind of out of control. The best, not the best, but the easiest one that I've used and I constantly use is Lightroom. It's an Adobe product. You can download the app. It gives you nice range of changes that you can make to a photo. You can add some vignetting, you can change the exposure, the contrast, you can change the colors, saturation, all that good stuff. And it's fairly basic to use. It's not hard at all. As long as you get in there and you play with it, you'll figure it out. I use another app called PhotoFox, which is really neat, has some cool effects in there. Quick Shot, I mean, all these different things I mess around with. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, apps are a great thing to use. In your phone, you probably already have some editing capability built into the phone, right? So when you go into a picture through your Photos app and then you hit edit, there's, that little bottom part that allows you to change like the exposure and the shadows and the color. That is basically what these other apps do, just a little bit more in depth. So if you're looking to go a little bit further than the built-in software to edit your photos, check out those apps. I'll add links in the description below so you guys can play with that. But it can get a lot of fun. You can find some really neat apps that do some crazy things, and it can really make that photo just a little different, a little more special, And the last and final tip I have for you guys, use your eyes, use your eyeballs to see what you like. Find a look that you kind of want to emulate. Look through some different photos on Pinterest or on Instagram or whatever the case may be, and find what you like. If you see a certain style of photo that you enjoy, kind of latch onto that and start trying to duplicate that in your own photography. And that'll help you kind of dial in what you like. If you have a family member who likes a certain kind of photo. Ask that person, he or she, you know, hey, what kind of photos do you like? What do you enjoy? And they point out some photos that they really appreciate. Then look at those photos, study those photos, see how the light is falling on those individuals' faces, see how the framing is within that picture, see where the subject is located in the picture. Remember the rule of thirds. See all those different things, and then when you start taking your pictures, then you can kind of emulate that. And you'll find that eventually you'll develop your own style of photography. And even from there, you might enjoy it enough to go and buy yourself a camera and start taking photos out there. But yeah, it's a great portal into the world of photography. And I know that there's a lot of software out there that does a lot of cool things, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the basics down on how to take a good photo, then it doesn't matter how fancy your camera is, it's gonna look like crap. One of the things that I enjoy on my iPhone is the portrait mode. And I think most phones have this mode at this point, or have had it for a while. But it's just not exactly perfect. Sometimes it blurs out backgrounds that don't look great. It creates lines around the subject that just look weird and unnatural. But you're able to do those exact same things as long as you can, you know, manually control your phone and you learn how to do these things. So check those things out. I think you'll really enjoy them. Well, there you have it, you guys. That's pretty much it. The basics of taking photos with your phone. Not rocket science, pretty straightforward stuff, but like anything else, as long as you go out there and you practice, you get better with it. And eventually you might even graduate to a bigger and better camera and take award-winning photos out there. And it all started because you tuned into this channel. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you guys. If you like the video, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we will see you soon on the next video. Thanks, you guys. See ya.